So now we're gonna talk about like a real Korean workplace job.
Yeah.
Not
Korean citizen.
not an expat's job, which
Yeah.
is so different. Yeah.
So I jumped jobs like 4 times within a little over a year. So I had like 4 different jobs. So it's kind of interesting here. So my very first job right out of military. Oh, by the way, I had
Can
to
I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Was there like one dissatisfaction that you shared amongst all the jobs? Like, was it like one main dissatisfaction until you got, or it was a different problem?
I think I'm not sure. I don't know if there's like a common theme. I think they are like all uniquely different. But I guess if I were to force a theme, I guess like a lack of autonomy. I couldn't do anything on my own. Like I had to.
So see.
Yeah. It felt like I was just kind of like a cog in a machine, but not even a well-oiled machine. like a cranking, and like it's painful to be a cog, but it's also painful to be a machine. No one's happy, everything's miserable, and it's not even running. So it's not even running smoothly anyway, that's that. So I had to go to military after graduating college because Korean thing, you had to do that. And then my very first job was in like a security company. My company made like authentication method to like safely like authenticate people into things. So it was
like banking.
Yeah.
Like when you log into your bank account.
Yeah. So it's like what we particularly did was like a certification. So it is like SSL, which is like a certificate for websites, and also like a FIDO, which is like a type of thing that you can use. It's not exactly biometric. It's not like limited to biometric, but what we specialized was like a biometric. So a lot of banking in Korea is done through online, and I'm sure other countries are as well. And then you prove that you're yourself by putting your finger on the like a computer or like a mobile and stuff like that. And then the technology that really proves that that person's that like who they say they are is, FIDO, and then they've been making that. But unfortunately, this company had like a very old style company because it's been around since like when I was born. So it's like very old company, and then they were making good money, so they had like no reason to venture into something new. So they're doing something.
Was this something new?
Yeah, but they brought me on to do something new, because they were basically one of the major company in authentication in Korea, so they didn't have much of a market share to gain in Korea. So they wanted to go abroad. So they were hiring some people who studied abroad and stuff like that to kind of make that happen. But the only thing is, they weren't done making the product they wanted to sell, and they just hire salespeople. So I was just like, well, what can I sell? And then they were just like, well, it's coming maybe next year. The prototype is coming maybe next year. To a point. Yeah, and then to a point where I had to actually learn Figma, and then I actually made like a live
UX
prototype.
design.
Yeah, like it's not like a full UX design, but I basically made like a user flow, and then like low fidelity, like a actual prototype, so that users can click on it and stuff like that, which felt like they didn't know what they were doing.
Which, by the way, some people's entire job is doing that.
Yeah.
Like, so they could have just hired somebody like that to do it.
Yeah.
But you are technically
Yeah.
not qualified to do that
I wasn't
specific
qualified
thing.
to do anything.
Maybe
And
to
then,
do sales, but not
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I
Right?
was. Yeah, my expectation during interview was that we already have the product set. We already have experience selling in Korea, so we are gonna do that to like European countries or like America, so we can like try to hit that like a market share. But then they were just like, oh, by the way, this is not done. We don't even have like enough certification and stuff like that to sell abroad. And I'm just like, well, like what are we gonna do then? So it was very interesting, and then it was very like not organized, like disorganized to a point where I was like, they had like a really legacy program. It's like a car that moves on its own, and then you put a phone and it speaks English to you.
A car?
Yeah, they had like a toy car
A
looking
toy
thing,
car.
and then you put a phone and then they speaks English to you. So it's supposed to be like help them learn English, but then it doesn't work. Yeah, because a lot of like a program is outdated, and then they didn't do an update because they were like, we don't make money with this, so we're gonna just scrap it. But then they keep trying to have salespeople sell the leftover items, and then we were like, oh yeah, this does this, and then they would ask, like, does this support this functionality? And then we would say no, because we stopped developing it.
Can I ask a question? How was this company even like afloat if they had all these failed projects?
Because they're one of like 2 or 3 companies that basically does all the authentication programming in Korea. So
like like the Kakao Pay or Naver Pay uses that or no?
No, the TOS and then the KB used to use them. So basically, like
banks.
yeah, they're making good money. They have no reason to venture into new things. That's why they're not making like new, like improved
Why can't
items.
they leave good well enough alone?
Well, that's because they plateaued. You can make more money when you're already one of the top players, and then there aren't that much money to be made in Korea. It's like a small, like domestic market. So they did that, and I got frustrated at some, like, to a degree where like I was keep trying to tell them like, hey, like we need this, we need that, and then they were like, well, like we have other priorities, and I'm just like, well, then like I don't have anything to sell, and you hired me as a salesperson, so I'm gonna leave. So I did. And my second company was food and beverage startup. I went there mostly because they offered me a COO position, and I was under the impression that I'll have a lot of autonomy. And my main primary role in there was that I was gonna sell the products to foreign countries. Similar with the last job, because I was interested in working with like foreign clients and then making sales.
What about domestic? Were you gonna sell domestically?
That's coming.
Okay,
Because CEO, when I was like getting hired in the process, like working like 1 month as like a first month as a freelancer while I had the other job, CEO was saying that we need to like increase the sales so we can actually increase the number of quantity that we're ordering, and then that would lower the like a per cost basis, because when you're mass producing things and the cost goes down, then we'll be able to actually hit like a competitive market price to sell abroad.
From like a food factory?
Yeah, like a food factory. But then only thing is that the CEO was mistaken. Because the price per unit did not go down when we mass produced. We didn't even reach the point where we mass produced because they weren't interested in sales. But when I looked at the contract, and then it said it doesn't matter how much you produce. It goes by like a cost per unit. So it was going to remain at an uncompetitive level, which is important because you have to spend a lot of money to ship this to like over the Pacific Ocean. And then if you have like high price, you end up adding those like transportation costs on top of that, and then no matter how good your product is, like you're not gonna like sell them like expensive beverages, and like you gotta market at like a reasonable price. That's my point. So this is later I found out, but the first few months I was just trying to make some domestic sales so that we can hit that point where we can actually make we can mass produce, and then we can hit like a low like cost per unit. And then I was keep telling them, hey, maybe we could reach out to a cafe or restaurants, and then we can maybe have our like a beverages or like a yogurt in this in their like a store, and then we can increase our sales that way. And they were saying, oh no, we're not interested in that. And I'm just like, what are you interested in?
Would they have made money doing this?
I mean, if they have sold things, obviously they would have made money.
Yeah, so if they had sold things to like a cafe, like they had a, should I say what kind of food? Like they had like a cookie, right? So say they have a cookie, and they sell it to a cafe. The cookie's made in their factory, and they sell it to a cafe. And do they make money selling it to the cafe?
Yeah. I mean, they would have to sell at a lower price because they will sell in the bulk. but then they would make money. The margin would get thinner, but then you would make money, and then people know about your product. So it's like marketing and sales at the same time.
Yeah.
So I was saying, like we're trying to hit like the healthy food type of thing. So maybe we can reach out to vegan cafe or healthy cafe, and then the people who would go there is already interested in those kind of things. So
where
that would
young
make sense.
people go.
Where young people go, and
Yeah.
then maybe we are like nobody. We can't sell to stores. We can't sell to like convenience store or anything like that. So we have to start somewhere. And then they were saying no. And then they were basically saying that we just need to get better investment. So when the investors invest in us, and then when we have enough money, we'll just produce a lot of amount and then partner up with like a major like a corporation. But then my question was, if you're not selling it to anybody, what are we gonna do with massive amount of products that we don't sell to anymore? And
That's
then,
what I was thinking just now.
and then like they were just like, oh no, if you sell a lot and then we do a lot of branding, people will buy things. And I'm just like, well, people need to use it. And people need to try the food to buy it. You can't just like hit like a lot of Google and Facebook ad and hope that people are gonna buy your food. I mean, they will eventually, but then that's not really a good way to go about doing that. But they were basically saying, oh no, like if we like make this food, even if no one in their friend group have tried our food, if you have enough advertisement, and then people will start buying things, and then we'll make a lot of money. And I'm just like, well, how are you gonna get the money to like do that kind of ad campaign? And they were saying investors, and I'm just like, okay, this is not good.
Sounds like there's like they have a lot of ideas, and you keep asking, how are you gonna possibly do this? And their answers kind of like fell short.
Yeah. And then like it was like I was like brought on as CEO, like I said, but then they were hiring people without telling me things. They basically hired a designer when we don't have any need for designers.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
How did these people feel about all of this? Did they know?
The workers?
Yeah, how did the
employees?
other workers feel about this business model?
So I got some tea.
Yeah.
So I get a call from like a former like I have like quit, and then I started working for another company, and then like after like about 3 months later, it's like someone calls and then they say, hey, did you sign a non-compete? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna work in food and beverage because like I don't need to. And the person was like, no, but I majored in food and beverage, so like, and I quit, and they're asking me to sign, or they're gonna come to our house and they got into screaming match and all that stuff. So they were just like, I was just like, oh well, like technically those non-compete are technically not very constitutional.
Yeah.
It's not legally sound. You can't really enforce that, and they didn't include that in your when they hire you, they didn't include that in your document, the employee agreement. So you don't have to sign it. I mean, it's at your will. Like,
But
they can force you to sign it, obviously, but that person was just keep calling them and other stuff. And then they asked me, because Korea government actually gives a lot of grant if you have like a potential to sell to abroad, because then you're bringing like foreign currencies and then helping the economy and stuff like that. So they registered me as an employee in the grant system, so that because I graduated from like a state university in United States, I qualify as like a person who can interact with foreign entity. So they were getting those grants, but then I like quit for like 3 months, but they didn't cut me out. And then all their like investment brochure, they had me as COO, saying that, hey, like if we like get big enough and then reach like overseas, we have this person, so that we can actually like do these things in house. We don't have to hire additional person, and we can already handle it. which obviously wasn't true because I quit like 3 months ago. So this person was like, did you know all this? They were saying like, oh, you agreed to this, and then like I was okay, and I'm just like, I never heard of it, but then like I don't really care because I know they're never gonna be able to sell abroad because they're not even selling in Korea, so they never reached a point where they can lower the unit per cost and then I can sell abroad. So I don't really care. And then they were just kind of like, oh, okay, and then it was just interesting. And like I alluded earlier, and I obviously quit because this was basically nonsense.
So can I ask a question? They showed up at this person's house and screamed at them?
Oh, no. Sorry. I think I wasn't unclear. So they person said they like these employers got into a screaming match before they fired this person, and then this like the employers would keep calling these this employee who already quit. And then keep saying that, oh, do you want me to go to your house so that I can like we can get this like signature down, and like you can't like work for other like food and beverage company because supposedly they were doing a lot of like skills, like proprietary skills, and I'm just like, well, like
you're gonna share a recipe, right?
But like you can just end someone's career because they quit.
She wasn't like a scientist, she was a designer.
She was actually a food scientist. Designer stayed.
Okay.
I was just like,
sorry, I was a little confused for a second.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't really clear about that.
That means the person's whole. That sounds a little crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't.
Wow. That's that.
So
and next was logistics company. I was keep trying to do sales because I thought that I would be a good sales side of things because I like to talk to people and I don't mind doing emails and I like spreadsheets. I like organizing things. So I thought that I would be good at that. But after these two jobs, which was happening in the span of like 6 months, I was just like, maybe I'm not like fit for sales. And like retrospect, I'm just like, maybe they weren't fit for working, but I'm just like, maybe this is not for me. So I like take a hard turn and then go for like logistic coordinating. So like a lot in Korea, a lot of things we don't have any resources. We don't produce our own steel. We don't have any like iron mine, or we don't have like iron oil, so we have to import everything. And then because we don't have big enough like a domestic market, we have to export everything to make money. So although we have POSCO and Hyundai, which makes steel and then makes cars, everything that goes into that we have to buy from abroad. So this company was actually getting iron ores, like not iron ores, but like some materials that you need to make steels, and from like India and also Indonesia, and selling to POSCO. So I thought that, oh, maybe this is a very good opportunity because there are a lot of jobs that does like trading and stuff like that. So I went in there, and it was great because I have complete autonomy on things because no one spoke English. I was the only one who spoke fluent English. I mean, they spoke some like embarrassing level of English, but like they knew that they would embarrass themselves. They hired someone who can speak English. And I always obviously like I was the talking person. I would coordinate things. Hey, like this is our plan. When are you gonna make the next shipment, and then what is gonna be our price, and then so that we can like a bid on the price, like bid on the like project and stuff like that. But then everything was good. I was like learning a lot of like a paperwork, and then like I was like developing good relationship with the like supplies. It was actually not like so boring, but anyway. And it wasn't too hard too because we get like huge shipment like once or twice, and then they would actually basically be enough to pay off all of our salaries because they buy in like huge bulk. But the problem comes here because we don't have to do a lot to make enough money to like make ourselves afloat. CEO was getting kind of delusional, so they were saying that we were working like a huge partner in India, so they were basically trying to start a makeup line, and then Korea is famous for like making makeups, so we were trying to sell them some of our like source some like a makeup and like a skincare products and then sell them those, and we were like selling some of them, and then not so successfully. Well, our main thing was like an iron ore and like a ferromanganese and stuff like that. Some like products they needed to make steels, but the CEO says, "Hey, I heard of this wonderful technology where you change the quantum mechanics of things," which I don't think he really knew what he was talking about. And then he was saying, if you like change the quantum mechanic of this headphone and then you put it in your ears, then it like cures your panic attacks.
Oh, really?
Oh, and then like if you like put it in this water, and then if you drink it, it cures all the inflammation.
Wow.
Like cures cancer.
I didn't know that.
And I'm just like, are you sure?
Was
and
he
then
in a cult?
he was very religious. That's all I'll say. But and then we looked up these, and then it was talking about like some like gift from God, and like and like very very cultish. It wasn't very scientific.
He thought it was vibranium from the
Yeah.
Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, basically. And then it's like basically a I don't know, some kind of scam, a lot of placebo and stuff like that. There wasn't a single like a double-blinded test, or it wasn't clearly FDA approved, because you can't approve something that's not real. So and like he was keep trying to pressure people to do that. And then another one, I don't think I mentioned this to you, but another one was that so this unsavory character, this very shady character, approaches our CEO and says, I can get the oil out of like a Sudan or like Iran, which was sanctioned at the time. I don't know if it's sanctioned right now, to be honest. And then we can go to Venezuela, and then go to like some other countries, and also from Russia, and then we can basically market like it's from Chile and sell it to like unsanctioned countries, which sounded like illegal because it is. So they're basically so they're basically saying that I can get oil out of Russia and Iran, and then we can get the crude oil and then basically refine it in another country, and then they wouldn't know that where the crude oil is from, which is not true, by the way. You have to prove like where it's coming from. That's why sanctioning exists. And then you also have to know for safety reasons.
Oh, you won't get put in jail. We'll get put in jail so fast.
So they will keep doing that, and on top of that,
they were talking to this guy.
Yeah, they were talking to this guy. I was talking to this guy because they didn't speak English, and I'm just like, I'm not comfortable with any of this. And then also, the last thing was this is like the like clear sign they were getting they were getting investigated by like a customs for money laundering, which I don't think
you said you thought that there wasn't like grounds, or
they thought that there wasn't ground, but then I didn't know what was happening because they started before I joined the company, and then like this was kept happening, and then like they weren't releasing the paperwork because they were like, I think there's something, and then they're hiring lawyers and stuff like that. And then I'm just like, after like 3 or 4 months in, and because I didn't know any of this until like my like end of the 3rd month, and I'm just like, well, these people think that there is a gift from God product that can cure cancer.
I was like, sounds easy to get sucked into things.
Yeah, and then second, they think that they can get oil out of Russia and then like sell it to unsanctioned country. And third, they're getting basically prosecuted to see if there's any like money laundering. And I'm just like,
Which
they might be.
He can't see red flags.
Yeah. So they might be actually innocent. Their intention might be completely innocent, but they might have done it. So I'm just like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. So like I started looking for jobs, and then I landed in this company that I currently work at, which was a long journey. And this company works with AI to find like nodules in your lung. Basically, it's a healthcare and then AI, and then would be the person who's gonna be like basically coordinating with overseas and then supporting our overseas partners and customers.
Telling them to restart their computers.
Yeah, basically. Most of the time, you wish you restart the computer. It's just like, have you tried turning it off? And that usually works fine. But yeah, so basically, I did that, and it's been good so far. But because it is a healthcare company and also IT and AI, it is there's a lot of things that people have to study. Even there are a lot of veterans in the field, but they still have to like spend a lot of time to study up what's going on, keep up with the trend, keep up with new technology and stuff like that. So a lot of people are workaholics. Like my department head carries around an extra pair of clothes and underwears in his cars because he wants to be able to change into like a fresh clothes whenever he like stays a night at the company.
Is this expected of you?
No.
Okay.
Because I don't know why I work for all these crappy companies, because they actually are not that many like super fluent in English. Like not a lot of Koreans are like super fluent in English. So and they haven't really experienced like American culture or like they haven't really studied abroad. And then
it can be awkward, right?
Yeah, and most of these people work for like a huge corporation like Samsung or LG. So like, I didn't have to go to all these crummy companies.
Mm-hmm.
And this company was really careful about anything that I do. They were just kind of like, we want to make sure that you're comfortable. Like if you want to wear Crocs and shorts to work, we don't care. You stayed late like 5 minutes. You can go home like 30 minutes early today.
Mm-hmm.
Like they want to be super careful. They don't want to they're like, oh, there's like a late night meeting. Are you sure you can make it? If not, we'll just try to reschedule it. And if you do this, we'll just let you go, let you leave early tomorrow and stuff like that. They're like super careful about things. So it is kind of nice. And I'm just like, oh, this is nice. And then I actually because it's not sales, like already customers are buying things, and this like recently went public, so like they're not just like some goombas throwing like, oh, I'm gonna get an investment. Like they already got their investment. They went public. Like they are selling things. So they're actually like doing providing values. They're like kind of saving lives, but not really, because we don't really make any decisions. We help save lives, I guess. Yeah. So, but anyway, it's like nice. I mean, I think my current company is kind of nice, but it's interesting to see all these different management types, because my first 3 companies are basically like a crumbs, and then I couldn't really make a good judgment out of that because there were like fatal flaws. But my current company, I guess if I were to assess it, there are a lot of workaholics.
Mm.
I think that's part of like a Korean culture. Like we want to get things done quicker, and the thing that I want to point out is that like the point of quickness is like above and beyond. Like if our client says, our partner says, I think like that's okay to like deliver by like Valentine's Day, like then we're like, then they go to another company and work late in that company. So that's not gonna make any difference. And I'm just like, wow, this is awful. But yeah, that's my experience so far.
Yeah. I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
So I guess we're done here.
Yeah.